Terlingua is an old mining town just outside of Big Bend National Park. Its official name actually is Terlingua Ghost Town. Once a year, they host not one, but two of the world's largest chili cook-offs on the same weekend. There's a whole history here about how it started as one, and then they split, and there's bad blood, and they went all the way to the Texas Supreme Court. And the Texas Supreme Court said, boys, you can have two chili cook-offs. And so that's what there is. On the same weekend, there are two competing ones. Take this town of 100 people and have 1,000 show up on the same weekend. And they set up all these camps in the desert, and it's kind of like Cowboy Burning Man without the drugs. So ostensibly, there's a chili cook-off going on, and so there's a bunch of people there, competing. But really what it's about is the community in the desert that springs up, and you've got to build your camp, and you're going to need, your neighbors are going to have something that you need to utilize, and maybe you're going to feed people, and an evening there's live bands, and there's music, and it's all to raise money too for ALS research. As many years and decades that I've been going to Terlingua, I've actually had never gone to the chili cook-off until this year. And so a good friend of mine, JB, invited us to join his camp. He's been going there for a decade and is a part of something called Cowboy Camp. Cowboy Camp has been there since 1971 with a lot of the same crew. And so Cowboy Camp is this group of guys who are actual working cowboys, even into their 70s. And they show up and they all come from around the state and they spend a week together building this little community in the desert. And so it's spectacular. It really, they show up with a chuck wagon and build teepees and live in the desert. Look, there's a surface level where, me as an outsider get to come in and play cowboy for a week, right? And it's a lot of fun. But there's this through line of people realizing their responsibility to contribute to the community around them and to the people around them and to serve. And so people don't care what you do. No one's even going to ask, right? They don't care what part of Austin you live in. All they want to know is, are you easy to talk to? And will you, help us carry some firewood when we need it? Because it's led by Tom and Jack. These guys are in their 70s, rocking boots, pulling up in a chuck wagon, cooking food for hundreds of people, which is a huge process, moving things that make me exhausted just looking at. And I remember asking one of them, I said, what's the secret? At your age, how are you still doing this work? And the answer was, don't let the old man in. And there's so much in that, I think, about it. There's this, obviously, you could expand on that, of course, but there's this idea that, this idea of always being active, of working, of not looking for the soft life, for pursuing what Teddy Roosevelt called the strenuous life, that you want good work to do that is in service of others, and that is actually the secret to not only how you theoretically stay young, but how you find fulfillment. And Cowboy Camp is this environment that embodies all of that, and it's a forcing function. Either you get it or you don't. And I think that that's another piece that I appreciate, is that being around those guys, it was going back to, I defaulted to yes sir, no sir. It felt natural. There was this element of engaging with these men that were wiser than myself and that I could learn from. And I knew that this was my station to do the physical labor and to work and to soak up as much as I could. And walking away from that, it was humbling. It reminded me again that I'm not that important, that I don't know that much. But what matters is how I use the gifts that I do have to serve the people around me and to not just be focused on myself. It's a pretty special place.